All right, we're back again with the Jujutsu Kaisen Avengers. This time we got, as always, the fake weeb. What's up?
What's going on, guys? Glad to be here.
We got Mir coming back again.
Hello, hello.
And newcomer to the channel, you might have seen him on my previous One Punch Man collab, Quirkless Shinobi.
Glad to be here.
So first we're going to be talking about what Gojo's maximum technique is. And this might be a contentious subject because at first you think, oh, it's hollow purple. But I don't think it is. Because when he uses hollow purple, there's like a breakdown as to what it is. It's essentially like a combination of the red and blue aspects of Limitless, like the positive and the negative. But he never says like maximum technique. You know what I mean? Like, every time a maximum technique is used in the series, it has that precursor to it. So, what are you guys' thoughts on that? And do you think we have seen it, or has it yet to come?
No, yeah. So we definitely haven't seen it, and it's actually said in the fan book that maximum techniques are supposed to be something like an ultimate move. So we see how Jogo's is the giant rock that's like almost the size of a cliff, you could say, which is like the big form of his curse technique. We haven't seen anything like that for Gojo. So we definitely haven't seen it yet, no.
Yeah, I've heard like people say maybe the maximum technique is like more or another color within the Limitless, so something other than like blue, red, or purple. You know, I've seen people talk about like, oh, maybe it could be a green, Gojo could pull up a yellow. And, you know, I don't know if they're joking, maybe not, because, hey, that could be Gojo's maximum technique, a different color. But just because blue is like the convergence of the technique and red is the divergence, it pretty much means that we probably can't see anything else other than those two colors. Of course, you know, combining the two would make hollow purple. But yeah, like I honestly don't know what the maximum technique for Gojo could be. I just don't think it's a different color for sure.
No, yeah. Also, we don't have to be stuck on the fact it doesn't need to be huge. Like Jogo's is a huge cliff. But we saw in the recent chapter when Gojo's fighting Sukuna, he's able to just move stuff around when he's not even near. And we haven't seen him do that before. Like, his maximum could just be a new ability within the Limitless. You know, we've never seen him just point at a bridge and control it like he did in the recent chapter. So it could be something dealing with that, where it's not a new thing like yellow or green. Or it could just be something where he's just telekinetically? I was gonna say like, so fuck, I forgot where I was.
It's all good. What do you think, Shinobi?
I think that, well, the last time Gojo really developed a new ability that we saw was like, what, 10 years ago in Hidden Inventory, or a year after when he created the short-range teleport, and then he started working on his territory. I find it hard to believe he hasn't developed anything in this time, unless he just completely stopped. So clearly there are further applications of both blue and red beyond just like what we've already seen.
I mean, for sure. I mean, he says in the latest chapter that he has quote-unquote been trading it, I guess, in that time skip, or he figured out something else. I assumed that he learned how to like apply reverse curse technique to other people, you know, like how Shoko and Okotsu can do. Just assuming, because he was talking in relation to like not having to worry about Megumi. But, you know, that doesn't mean that that's exclusively the only thing that he may or may not have developed.
Right, I think it definitely could be Zhoniin, like what you said, or I know in the Viz translation, if I like, you know, quickly pull up Google, search up the chapter, like I think the Viz, they implied that when Gojo said he went through specific training, it was like in accordance that because Megumi looks like Toji and he fought Toji, that was like the sort of special training he was talking about. It was more like, it was not like really serious. I'm not sure if you guys also took it that way too, or it could have been taken that way.
Yeah, it seems more so like mental training than anything else. Like resolving himself to kill Megumi.
I mean, it could be. It says, you know, like, you wanted me to... Oh, by the way, I always go off of the Viz. Not, you know, no shade to the other places, but...
Oh, yeah.
Which I'm cool with them. You know, it's all good. But I usually go off of the Viz. I guess that's kind of like my brand at this point. At least for Jujutsu Kaisen. Not so much the other series. But he says that you wanted me to hold back, right? Too bad for you, I've undergone special training. I could totally wail on Megumi since they look alike. And then we see Toji's funny little face there. Dying once as Yuji was a mistake. I'll worry about Megumi after I kill you. So you could just take that 1,000 ways. Like, Gege is the master of ambiguity with like his dialogue. Like, you never really know what the hell's going on until it's like fully revealed. So it could be mental training, could be a technique or something. But back to the topic at hand, his maximum technique. So we're all in agreement that he hasn't used it yet, and I think it's more, I think more evidence pointing to that is that he starts off this fight with using purple. like straight off the bat, like 200% buffed up from the group effort. So if he's just starting with purple, which before this was ostensibly his strongest attack, then there still has to be something that he's going to do later on to up the stakes, and also, you know, just because it's eventually going to get to that point where they have to use everything that they have to take each other out. And it leaves the question of like, what is the maximum technique of Limitless? Because maybe not so much a color, because the color is like when you manipulate just the curse technique itself, but this is more so like a fundamental aspect of it, like the maximum technique, what it would be. So it's so hard to guess. It's like trying to guess like what Akotsu's domain expansion was. I mean, I guess he just uses all of the abilities at once or something, but that's besides the point. It has to be something with, I guess, the Limitless or the Infinity itself, like him manipulating it in some way, because also, you know, like we were talking about earlier, he's doing something which seems like telekinesis, with lifting up the bridge and manipulating Sukuna. So I just assume that he is bending and using Limitless around those objects instead of it having to cover himself, possibly. What did you guys make of that?
Go ahead.
He has the ability to attract and repel, so combining those together should be able to, like, you know, have a bit of a telekinesis effect, or it could be similar to him moving the space with his infinity, because we know he can expand it outwards. Granted, we haven't seen the lapse or the reversal used in that way directly by statement. It seems like that's probably what he's doing.
Yeah, so like with his maximum technique zone, like you said, it definitely has to be somewhat within like either space manipulation, where like Quirkless said, he can manipulate the space around him, or he probably was maybe using blue and red on a precise level to make it look as if Gojo has telekinesis, because I remember in the past arc, Gojo did say that he could use blue and red simultaneously. And of course, Miguel in the movie, which is canon, said that his limitless control or something along those lines works down to an atomic level. So if it is the latter, where he more so used blue and red, then hey, that's an example of a capability within the Limitless technique that we haven't really seen Gojo do. You know, other than the beginning, I know people bring up the panel where he lifted the rocks and made it float, but like at least in the last chapter, that sort of manipulation over objects and humans, it's an ability that we haven't really seen a lot before. So I don't doubt that there could be more applications within the technique, and you know, going whatever it is that's his maximum technique, because I don't think it's just going to be another brand new curse technique, and like you said, mixing colors.
Anybody else have any last thoughts on that?
Well, I'm also curious to see that we normally see with things like domains, them have the curse technique incorporated into them, and we haven't really seen that with Gojo's. Like, let's say we see Sukuna uses Dismantle and Cleave inside of his domain. We see Mahito use Idle Transfiguration. So usually, unless there's an innate effect to the actual domain, it's incorporating the technique in some way. So I'm curious if the actual Limitless domain has something to do with abilities we haven't seen.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because, like, when he does do Unlimited Void, like, I wouldn't have guessed, like, that's what its effect is. It just overloads you, essentially, and you're just trapped forever until he decides to stop it. Like, I mean, still, it's just such an iconic sequence. Like, I'm looking at it right now in the anime when he uses it on Jogo. So it has to be something on that scale, but just not a domain.
Yeah, it could be something like Output, because we see Kenjaku or Ghetto's maximum technique is maximum Uzumaki, and that's just one big blast. You know, and then we see Jogo's, which is one big rock. So it could be something dealing with Output for Gojo. Maybe it's something stronger than Purple, because like they say, it is an ultimate move. So even though we all thought Purple was the ultimate move, Gojo's maximum would be an Output stronger than this, which is probably why he's so confident. You could say that even though Purple failed, a 200% Purple failed against Sukuna, he's still so confident because maybe he has a maximum that is just has such a high level of output. He knows that at any point he could use this.
Yeah, I mean, it'll probably wind up like destroying the entire city or something, or at least if he can contain it. Because there's been so many abilities where we see, like, I don't know, whether they're doing the maximum or something close to the maximum. Actually, recently, with like Tsukumo and Yorozu. Technically, those things that they do, which are both similar to literal black holes, would destroy the Earth. But, you know, Jujutsu works differently. So I guess it has to be something similar to that, at least scale-wise.